their faith in mind for a candidate with policies that spread the word of God. So joining me now, the executive director of the Vote Common Good, Pastor Doug Pagitt. Pastor, thank you so much for your time. First of all, from your perspective, how big of a role is religion and faith in this election?
Well, hi, Nicole. Great to talk with you about this. Yeah, look, we believe that faith is a really big motivator for a lot of voters in this country. And the breakdown that you described there is so accurate. It's not based on if someone's a conservative Christian or if someone believes their Bible or attends church. The breakdown tends to be about race, which is really interesting when you see that black voters tend to vote, who are church attenders, tend to vote for Democrats. And white evangelicals and some white Catholics tend to vote for Republicans. And it's not because they're conservative or not theologically. It's because there's different messaging going out to each of those groups about what their faith ought to compel them to do. So our work at Vote Common Good is to remind white evangelicals and Catholics that they can vote for Democrats. And to some people, that might not come as a surprise, but there are an awful lot of voters who are being told by the pastors of their church or by members of their family or by people that they follow online that if you're a true Christian, the only option you have is to vote for someone like Donald Trump. And millions of voters decided in 2020 that does not fit their faith, and even more are going to decide that in 2024. And faith voters from the evangelical and Catholic traditions will be voting in numbers for Kamala Harris that will be the highest numbers from those communities since Jimmy Carter was running for re-election in 1980.
Well, Pastor, question for you. So when people are choosing to vote based on their faith or values or beliefs, is it a combination of some? Because for some, it could be unity. For others, it could be abortion. For others, it could be based on voting or wanting to vote for a candidate who actually goes to church on a consistent basis.
Yeah, look, for most voters, they recognize that no political candidate at the presidential level or any other office that they're running for is going to always be a perfect match to their faith. All of our faiths, whether you come from the Christian tradition or any other tradition, your faith is always bigger than anything a political party could hold. So we're not trying to get voters to match one-to-one their religious faith with their candidate. In fact, we're not even asking Christian voters to only vote for Christian candidates. We're asking them to vote for candidates who care about the common good, because in a pluralistic society, of course, we're going to have representatives from across the spectrum of faith and no faith at all. But for a lot of voters, what really motivates them, and we've talked to so many, what motivates them is the idea that their vote says something about them as a voter. They're wondering if they can feel like a good person voting for this candidate. Now, there's a lot of religious people who've been told that only one political party matches, so it'd be very hard for them to consider voting for somebody from a different political party. But a lot of Republican Christian voters, especially evangelicals, have said to us and said to pollsters and will say to their ballot, Donald Trump's behavior, from his cruelty to how crude he is, his incompetence, just is something that they don't feel reflects well on them. And so they feel really trapped. They don't know if they can vote for Kamala Harris. They don't know if they have to leave it blank. But there are going to be millions of voters who are saying out loud to their ballot, Donald Trump does not deserve my vote. And what we say to a lot of these voters is, look, you don't have to be a progressive like I am and vote for Kamala Harris. You can be like Mike Pence, who has fashioned himself as a conservative, Christian, Republican, who's not going to vote for Donald Trump. He's a man who worked with Donald Trump and says he does not deserve his vote. So we're not asking people simply to switch parties. We're asking them to vote for Kamala Harris if their conscience allows them to, but certainly not to feel they have to vote for someone like Donald Trump, who has not earned their vote by his behavior and his
Pastor, what would you
conduct.
say to people who either are just going to sit it out and not vote for either candidate, or who think maybe Harris has not focused enough on faith, that maybe she should have integrated it more from the beginning of her campaign, since we know that Donald Trump has traditionally had such support from evangelicals?
Yeah, boy, Nicole, you're really stepping on something important there, because what we know about evangelicals, just like any other group, is that they don't need their candidate to be just like them. No one's going to get a perfect match. But they do want the candidate to like them And one of the things Donald Trump has done is in public has said that he likes evangelicals and Catholics and religious voters. Now, we wish that the Democratic candidates would say it out loud more often, because we actually know that it's true that those candidates on the Democratic side do like those voters. We just want them to say it. And unfortunately, we've heard from reporting that Donald Trump actually speaks so disparagingly against the very people that he says he likes in public. So now those of us who know Donald Trump well and have paid attention know the man's like a self-cleaning oven. He does all the work for you. You figured him out a long time ago that he will say one thing in public and another thing in private. But to a lot of voters, they do want their Democratic candidates to say out loud, I want your vote. And we encourage Kamala Harris to say it because I know she believes it. Now, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris because she's a Christian. I'm voting for her because I am. But we know that she cares about people of faith, and we're asking her and the other Democratic candidates to say it. We travel the country in a big bus that says faith, hope, and love, supporting democracy for all. And we have candidates stand beside our bus every day doing rallies, Democratic candidates saying, we want faith voters to know that they can vote for me in good conscience. And I invite them to do so. And we just wish that all candidates would do that.
Yeah, and we will certainly see how it shakes out, because as you were speaking there at the end, we saw in 2020 how that majority of support did go to the former president. So we will certainly see what happens in 2024. Pastor Doug Pagitt, thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you.